as I'm concerned, I realize that most of it are produced, sorry to say, around the south, but consumed in the north. Consumed in the north. Yes. Yes, I have evidence. I have my evidence. I will tell you. I will tell you. When I say south, when I say south, I didn't specify which area. I didn't say Edo.
Distinguished Senator Lalong, for most of the Southern senators, I tried to stop him, but he had already accused you that most of the drugs are produced in the South and consumed in the North. I don't think that is totally correct.
And I think we should even quantify the quantity, how many grams that lead you to life imprisonment. And otherwise, a boy will be caught with one very little thing for his personal use and he will be sent to prison for life. Thank you, sir.
Along Plateau South. Mr. President, I listen keenly on this bill. To me, it is timely for those of us who were governors, including Mr. President. Handling drugs is not an easy task. In the last 10 years, because I was a governor, that is the menace that is going on, especially amongst our youth. And these are some of the genesis of the insecurity that we are seeing all over. Sometimes when you go even to arrest bandits, part of it is the first thing to torment them is when you deny them of drugs. Today, it is now becoming a culture as a vogue for our children in universities to say who takes the biggest drugs or who takes the most expensive drugs. Just last week, I was showing my colleagues a video that I saw, the discovery or the invention of a new drug they call Coros. That one, you take it, you go mad. You are mental completely. And so a lot of them are picked here from Abuja to mental homes. It is very, very sad. As we move on, like my brother comrade, distinguished comrade Shomole said, I know that from experience, the harder the penalty, the more the attempts to frustrate prosecution. It took me about 3 years to prosecute a drug baron in Jos. I realized that he was the one supplying all drugs all over the North Central Zone. By the time we started prosecuting him, we suffered a lot of things, both from the judiciary, from the police, and even from the Drug Law Enforcement Agency. At the end of the day, we finally got him jail. The man is in prison in Jos. But what I also realized was that at the time that he was in jail, that was when he was also producing more drug barrels. We have to be very, very careful. I am saying this because we are talking about our children. But even the big ones are some strong, I don't want to say politicians, but I said strong individual billionaires in our midst. If we don't discourage this kind of thing, as you are fighting from the lower side, what you are leaving, the gap, is those that are above. Because at the time that he did that, we were even afraid the kind of people that were coming to visit the man in prison. So it is very, very timely that we look at it. This is not an opportunity to divide. Let us have the time, like Mr. President said, let us look at this holistically and come back with certain experiences and also definitions. Yes, there was public hearing at the House of Representatives. What were some of the contributions from the House of Representatives so that we can cover some of these loopholes? Because some of those definitions that we are talking about, new methods are coming, new drugs are being introduced that will not come into that kind of definition, that kind of definition, especially for the youths. where they are produced and where they are consumed. As far as I'm concerned, I realize that most of it are produced, sorry to say, around the south, but consumed in the north. Consumed in the north. Yes. Yes, I have evidence. I have my evidence. I will tell you. Off the mic. When I say south, I didn't specify which area. I didn't say Edo. So, Mr. President, you have already said something, and for me, I'm very eager for us to walk away with this law. Go and have a thorough examination of it through our research officers, if we are not lawyers, and then come back and take full time to discuss this, because it will protect not only us, but protect our youth and generations to come. I so move to sign a death warrant. You see human rights organizations everywhere and civil societies. Yes, they were coming with that. I know Mr. President will also experience that. So when we are going to do this, let us find a straight way and also copy that kind of intervention as to when you are signing a death warrant.
Distinguished Senator Lalong, for most of the Southern senators, I tried to stop him, but he had already accused you that most of the drugs are produced in the South and consumed in the North. I don't think that is totally correct. I would think that the only thing I know that is produced in the South and consumed in the North is cola nut. Cola nut.
My distinguished colleagues, I thought, sir, that you have summarized the issue, namely that every law that passed through the Senate should have the benefit of each and every one of us going through it. And it is not for nothing that we are expected to have legislative assistance. And I agree with distinguished Senator Sadiq that the whole essence of maintaining bicameral legislature is to ensure that if an error slips through one arm, as the national, in this case the House of Rep, we are not obliged to rubber stamp it. I'm happy, Mr. President, that you reminded us of the law we had to pass when we were governors. My observation is that whereas the executive passed those laws to provide for death sentence for kidnappers and armed robbery, etc., when the court uphold and interpret those laws correctly and sentence people to death, it is on record that most governors were unwilling or unable to assent to the judgment so that those involved are sentenced to death. As a consequence, we have so many people today sentenced to death, but they have not been executed because the governors that passed those laws are unable to find the courage to sign death warrant. I had to sign death warrant. I also granted pardon. So the lesson I've learned from this is that the more draconian a law is, the less likely that we'll have the will to enforce it. Mr. President, you also made the point that the prisons are made, we have even changed their name now to correctional homes. The emphasis there is to correct, even though there are some that cannot be corrected. I think the point you have made for me is sufficiently clear that anything that has to do with the possibility of somebody spending all his life in prison or being sentenced to death merit real scrutiny. And we will be happy our brothers and sisters in the House of Rep by doing our own job, looking at it differently. We see in the US sometimes hard negotiations between the Congress and between the Senate. This can only go to enrich democracy. Neither the House nor the Senate should rubber stamp the decision of any of the chambers. so that the laws that come through this bicameral legislature should have been filtered through, reduce all the impurities, and ensure that what we have passed reflect the will and the expectations of the Nigerian people. So I support what you have said, that let us take this thing back, look at it critically, fix a date, and then we pass it. Or we debate it with a view to passing it. I think you have summarized it, Mr. President. Thank you, sir.
I'm very happy that you understand what I'm saying, that while reconsidering, that we have to take note of that and then do our judgment based on that. Then secondly, the issue of life imprisonment without option of fine. I think the drafter of this original act or the amendment is informed by the fact that when you find at times somebody who has maybe exported or is exporting about 50 kg of heroin, for example, and then you now give him an option of fine of say 1 million naira or 200,000 naira, then he will pay. It's outside, then he can continue the business. It's not more than fine. Maybe that is the reason why the drafter of this clause has just in mind to make sure that, look, when you are going to jail, you are going to jail, and you will know, because the punishment has to be severe in a form to deter fully, because we cannot partially deter. If you partially deter, it means that the bonus will be on it and forever, because when you know that you are caught, you will pay only 100,000 naira or you pay 250,000 naira. They will have the money in their pocket waiting for a judge to rule and tell them to go and pay fine. That is the reason. So when we are reconsidering, we have to ensure that even if there is going to be an option of fine, then that fine must be seriously described fine, not bigger amount. It should be tied to even the market value of that kind of illicit drug that person has imported or exported. So that's what I want to